One of my subscribers recently sent me a message through Messenger. So if you want to be able to communicate with me directly, you've got to go to my website, and then the chat function, it actually goes back and forth through Messenger. So if you want to be able to communicate with me in real time, that's something that you can do. And this is what this subscriber had done, is they just sent me a message telling me that a new bill just got passed in Florida, essentially criminalizing or banning homelessness. But the thing is the way in which the article is being portrayed, if you just read it at surface level and then you just read the first paragraph, you're like, oh crap, being homeless is now a dirty word like it used to be, and people are going to be just as hostile towards you as the migrants, because I think that society as a whole is just tired of all this. They want it all to be resolved. They don't want to be able to deal with the homeless, and most of the people that deal with the homeless don't think that they should be ostracized or anything else like that. They want them housed. They want them back to work, back being productive, and being a contributing part of society. But the other part of it is, if you read further down in the bulletin that was sent to me, is that they're going to be forcing people into regulated camps. And when one state does something, the rest of the state watches. They see how the different litigations happen, and this may go quickly to the Supreme Court. But with what's going on from Bakersfield, Oregon, because they're kind of trying to do the same thing, but in order for them to be able to make all this happen, and I think that Florida may be talking to the justices and getting prepared for dealing with the possible overturning of Martin v. Boise. This is just the groundwork being laid, and right now you're gonna have the homeless being put into some sort of camps, and they're calling them regulated camps. But the thing is I'm almost certain that the Florida Emergency Management Agency, which is the state version of FEMA, will be the one handling it, and then they get their oversight from the national or from the federal government, which would be FEMA. And so now you've got these people being put into regulated homeless camps, and the main argument that is being made is that it has to do with being a health hazard, because you have no way to dispose of trash. The encampments become riddled in trash and all kinds of other things, plus drug use, and also you have trafficking and other things that are going on within these encampments because of the drug culture, and kind of the gangs are coming in and taking over in this way. And so if you're homeless, or if you're considering being homeless, or if you think that you may be affected by being homeless, or if you just sympathize with the homeless because you realize that homeless are are human beings just like you, and that they have the right to dignity and things like that, because that's what they used to call the villages back in 2008, was Dignity Village, because the homeless still need to be treated with dignity. And it was nothing more than a wordplay, but all of that stuff, all that bad stuff that they talk about happening in the encampments was just as bad within these dignity villages. So are they really going to resolve anything, or are they just trying to get them out of the way of the actual of the general public? Because out of sight, out of mind, they'll stop complaining about it. We won't see any issues. People become newly homeless. They'll go to these camps, and then they won't. Then probably what will end up happening is you'll have a lot of people coming out and talking about it, like, yeah, these camps, I'm not a drug addict, this and that and the other, and look at all this stuff that I got to deal with here. They're not doing anything. Now that might call a public outcry, but really what you're doing and trying to make it using PR, trying to make it seem like a humane thing that you're doing nothing more than the internment camps of Auschwitz, and that's what it eventually will lead to, because we had to get the Jews off of the streets of Germany, that way the people would, it was for their own protection, because people were becoming hostile towards them because of the animosity towards the Jewish population, or towards the blacks, or towards the gays, or towards anybody that wasn't blonde-haired and blue-eyed. or a good supporter of the Fuhrer. And eventually, we're going to put them over here because these people, it's for their own good, it's for their own safety. And then what did they do? They put them in incinerators. I mean, that was the Holocaust. And now the United States, through the power of the states and through the management of the federal government, is following the same path. And there's a famous story that comes out of World War II of a chaplain that said, first they came for this group, I said nothing. They came for this group, they said nothing. Came for this group, I said nothing, till finally they came for me, and there was nobody left. Okay, and this is that point in time when if you're going to stand up and make your voice heard, I'm not saying there should not be any violence. Violence is counterproductive to anything positive, any positive change that you want to make. Okay, and so any act of violence would be considered detrimental to actually preserving the homeless, so on and so forth. But I think that this is something that we as a community, as a society, really need to sit back and have a general discussion about. Okay, because this is getting to a point where it's being scary, where instead of being able to live the nomad life, even me myself being a nomad traveling from city to city, if I need to raise money, and I can't do it through my tip jar, or I can't do it through ad revenue or my channel, whatever, and I struggle to raise the necessary funds so that I can be able to take care of my basics, and I got to go fly a sign for it. Well, doing that may actually just make it to where where I'm calling attention to myself. I get swooped up, don't know what happens to Sam, and next thing you know, I'm ending up in a regulated camp. Now, at first, they're gonna be like, okay, go to the camp, it's on the edge of town, I expect to see you there. If you come in again, we're gonna forcibly take you to jail, or we're going to escort you there. And then they're gonna say, well, you did it based upon choice. These homeless are there for their own choice. But eventually, what will happen as everybody gets used to it, and they're tired of the homeless, not going and taking care of themselves, that it becomes compelled performance. And that is a direct violation of the Constitution. You have the right to choose what you want to do, and compelled performance, there's litigation around it. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I read about it years ago. I don't have it fresh in my memory, but I'm sure if you want to know more on the subject of compelled performance, you will go and search it up for yourself. Okay, but I wanted to weigh in on this, and I kind of want to share with you, and I've been talking about this for several months, is that being homeless, it's going to become a lot more dangerous. You don't have to be afraid of the people. You got to be afraid of the government. And that's pretty sad when you got to be afraid of your own government, because they want to sweep you under the rug. But let me ask you one final question, because a lot of people might be going, well, why are they doing this? What has prompted them to do this now versus many months or many years ago? And I can tell you, just from my vantage point, a lot of it has to do with what's going on with real estate. The reason why you invest in real estate is because all the politicians are invested in real estate, and they're going to protect their investment, which is why you protect your investment. Basically, you lay down with the snake, okay? Essentially, when you do the whole real estate investing, because the rule makers are the ones that are going to benefit themselves, which, if you're smart enough, will benefit you. Okay, and so with the commercial housing market imploding, with the real estate market imploding, now they're giving these migrants zero down and zero interest loans to be able to buy these houses, so that they can keep the housing market propped up, so that they can actually say that the housing prices are going up, and they can justify that we just don't have enough housing for the homeless, which is not true. There's more than enough houses, but the thing is we are more geared towards profit than we are towards being humane and taking care of our community, because you're only as strong as your weakest link, and the homeless are the weakest link. And so that really shows how strong the society is. And when the weakest link starts growing like a cancer because of poor policy, now all of a sudden you just want to cut that cancer out and throw it in the trash and hope that nobody knows that it's there and just pretend it doesn't exist, for your own preservation of the system. And I think honestly that these moves are being done to preserve the real estate values, land values, and things like that. And plus, it gives you a distraction, something else to be worried about other than, what's going on over in the Middle East or what's going on over in Europe. Okay, so, this is just my thoughts on this, and, as far as criminalizing homelessness and how much more dangerous it is becoming. Now, one more thing that I will say, just because my brain just keeps remembering, oh, well, what about this? Okay, Tennessee did something similar, but they don't enforce it. Florida, let's see if they actually enforce it. Okay, let's see what happens. I think eventually, I think really what's happening here is they're waiting for the Supreme Court case to overturn what is going on with the Martin v. Boise. And if they can overturn that, all this groundwork that they laid, they can now just, from day one that is overturned, they can just do whatever it is that they want, because they already got the groundwork, and it becomes instant. Okay, and now that we know that we're going to get a decision next month, we're going to get the court will hear it next month, and a decision in June, a written decision. But the thing is the plaintiffs and the defendants will already know what the outcome was. They're just waiting for the formal decision to be written. Okay, so that means that come next month, we could very easily see this stuff being implemented, and that will kind of tell you which direction it's going. And so you should keep your ear to the ground and watch this. And whether or not you like homeless or not, or how you feel about the homeless, we are human beings just like you. We have feelings just like you. We have critical thinking just like you. We just happen to have been at the bottom of the meat grinder, and we fell off the table. And instead of finding solutions, you're too busy sweeping it under the rug, taking all the benefits and none of the responsibility for the unintended consequences of the system in which we live. And I think that really shows the sickness of our society as a whole. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. You know how to help the channel. Everything else is down in the description.